Hi, how are you doing? I hope I'm finding you well. And it's Dave Williams here with this week's Weekly Wisdom. Now, there are so many topics that I was contemplating doing this week for you, but I decided to actually go with this one. And look, you've heard me say already, I'm sure, about the fact that as far as society is concerned, so much of it is about image these days, and especially when it comes to social media. Yeah, where you've actually got people that taking all these selfies all the time, so they look good, and then sometimes applying filters, not everyone, but many times applying filters. And the reality is it's like a falsism in many ways. And because this has been going on for some time now, so many people are actually tired of it. You've even got organisations that are actually, when they're advertising, they're promoting this, that and the other to make that organisation really look good. But it's a bit like the tip of the iceberg. And you know what I mean by the iceberg, it's a case of the iceberg is obviously shaped something along those lines. And it's said that about 2/3 of the iceberg is actually below water. So what many organisations and indeed people are actually doing when they're doing all these posts or marketing or advertising or whatever, is just promoting the top bit, the bit that looks good, And, that's natural because at the end of the day, when we want to sell ourselves, the reality is we're not going to normally sell the stuff that's not working, are we? The bad stuff, the challenges we've got going on in life. Most people, and certainly most organisations, will not promote that. But we know that some people do on social media. The fact that people are actually going through a challenge or whatever, so they're going to get response from other people and it's going to make them feel good, even if it's for a short space of time when they're going through those challenges. And when it's done right, it can be a good thing, but not all the time. And it's getting the balance right. Because, again, referring back to the iceberg, like I say, 2/3 is meant to be below water and everything. So what's going on below the waterline? What's really going on? And I'm sure you know the story as far as swans are concerned, that, when you see them on the water, they're just gliding past, aren't they? And don't they look majestic? But again, under the water, the flippers are actually going 10 to the dozen like that, just to actually give the impression that they're just gliding along. And that's the same thing with most businesses. No, that's a bit unfair. I'll say with, a good chunk of businesses, but indeed with a good chunk of people as well. And so many people are actually getting tired of just seeing all these promotional images and everything that's actually going on. We're in the age now where everyone is bombarded about, all this good stuff and this good stuff and this good stuff. But let's start scratching below the surface. Okay? And for many people, you think, no, don't go below the surface, because I'm quite happy portraying, this particular image or this persona, if you will, for another word or term, should I say. Well, the reality is we need to scratch below the surface. And the reason why I say that is because that's the truth. That's where things, the boiler room, if you will, of an individual, but also an organisation, that's where the good and the not so good stuff is happening, but that is the core of what's going on. So let me ask you a question. Who are you when no one else is watching? So I'll ask that again. Who are you when no one else is watching? And what I mean by that is, look, anyone can portray an image for a period of time. Anyone can do that. If you think about it, as far as, I'll say, rock stars are concerned, and one of my idols, if you will, Freddie Mercury, absolutely phenomenal on stage. And most people thought that was him on stage. Well, obviously it was him, but, as far as his personality was concerned, But no, the reality was that was just a persona that he put on the stage, from what I understand anyway, because I never met him. But off the stage, he was a totally different person. He was quite quiet, he was quite reserved, and in many ways quite introverted. So what are you like when you are off stage? You know, when you're not having to perform for everyone else. So hence the question, who are you when no one else is watching? And this is a key question in many ways. When you consider as far as organizations are concerned, certainly individuals, because what most people are actually looking for in this day and age now is not the image. They want authenticity. You know, people that are being prepared to be vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, you know, I don't mean, you know, vomiting all their problems in front of everyone else. I don't mean it like that. But prepared to be vulnerable to share experiences so they can help others reduce decades, if you will, into days. So share skill sets in that as well, so it can help improve other people's lives. And that's what I mean by being vulnerable. You know, showing people that, you know, they've had challenges, but have come out the other side. So they're prepared to actually go back there and actually show that to other people to help impact those people and influence those people, but in the right way. But not everyone's prepared to do that. So hence the question, who are you when no one else is watching? And you may well think, well, you know, what a silly question that is, Dave. And if you are, that's fair enough. Because it must have been the first time I heard it. My first thought was, pardon? You know, what do you mean by that? And then the reality kicked in for me. In as much as, it's not about the image that you are portraying. It's about who you are at the core of you. Because that is what people really want to see. Now you may well be thinking, no one wants to see my core or anything along those lines. And again, I could appreciate that. And indeed, you know, for me, if you go back a decade or even longer, I would have actually thought exactly the same. Because what I didn't realize is I was putting on this persona as well. And the thing is, when you keep on putting on this particular persona, you know, for other people, and sometimes, you know, you don't feel what you are actually saying and doing, so you're not being congruent. So when I say congruent, I mean that everything that you say and do is literally the belief throughout your body that what you are doing is truthful. And if you feel like that, hey, I've been there. Yeah, or along similar lines. Yeah, because we're all different, aren't we? But along similar lines. And I don't know about you, you know, if you are there where, you know, you're not necessarily being congruent with what you're saying and what you're doing, then it's tiring, isn't it? Yes? Trying to be a different person around other people in comparison to who you genuinely are. And look, to demonstrate this as an example, I did, I'll refer to it as a speaking gig. So I went to an organisation, and it was a well-known organisation here in the UK, and I was presenting to a group of senior managers. And I share loads and loads of different things when I get these opportunities, because I love doing what I do and, you know, sharing strategies that can actually impact people for the right way. But also share my personal story as well, which is really, really personal. And if you know my story, you know where I'm coming from. So it got quite emotional in the room, and there was a couple of the delegates there and the tears were pouring down their face when I was sharing my story. And then when I've done my story and shown, you know, sort of from zero to hero, so to speak, in as much as putting strategies in place and you can actually then be successful, I started to, I normally share this particular bit, whether I'm doing speaking gigs, whether I'm doing trainings or whatever. I normally share this because I think it's so pertinent, because it covers the vast majority of people in society. Well, no, it covers everyone in society, really. And it's I call it the reality of where people are in life right now. And the reason why I share that, especially with people in management, is the fact that there are so many people that are in I'll say a negative state. So that's a negative emotional state. So they may well be going through challenges in life, but they're thinking, as a generalization, that, they're not worthy of great success, as an example, and they may well be really anxious, they may well be worrying an awful lot, they may well be really frustrated with life. And there's work that's actually been done by Dr. David Hawkins. So it's not Stephen Hawkins, the gentleman who's in the wheelchair, it's Dr. David Hawkins. And he said that I'll summarize this. So 96% of the world population are in this zone, which I'll refer to the red. So in the red zone. And there's only 4% over here, which is in the green zone. So living a happy life that's fulfilled, etc. So quite a variant, I'm sure you'll agree. And I think, when I've done speaking gigs, when I've done trainings, when I've done workshops, all of these different things, I normally share this particular, I'll say, section that I do. And the number of times people actually say, "You've just drawn my life." Yes, because it is quite visually impactful when I share this. And when people actually share that with me, that they've been on that particular journey, that's because they're over here. They're in the red zone. They're certainly not in the green zone, so they're in the red zone, and they're looking to make the transition. So that's what I mean. Who are you when no one's watching? Because it's really easy to be with a group of people, isn't it? Let's just say you're on a social occasion and you're with a group of friends or whatever. And it's so easy to be, the belle of the ball, for want of a better term, the party animal, that when you're around people that you can actually be outgoing, funny, and, you can really pull people together and really gel. And yet when that stops, who are you really? See, many people, a bit like I mentioned about rock stars and that is concerned, and I could name loads that, I've actually come across, shared this information, that when they're on stage, they feel on top of the world, and then when they come off stage, they crash massively. And maybe you actually know some of them as well. So hence the question, who are you when no one's watching? Because it is great to up our game when we've actually got an audience. But it's not just about performing to an audience. It's being our true selves. Because when we are our true selves, it's not tiring, because we do it because we have a passion for what we do. Whether that's a passion for actually helping people, whether that's a passion for being with friends, family, or whatever, it doesn't matter. When it's a passion, when it's our core, we don't need to put a front on or anything. We can just be who we are. Hence the question, who are you when no one's watching? Because when we are our full, truthful selves all the time, then pardon me, life's great, life's fun. Every time is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to meet people, it's an opportunity to engage with people, have some fun with people, learn about people's other experiences and be a part of their life as well. But to really do that, we need to be congruent with ourselves and be our best version of ourselves. And indeed, as I say, senior managers with this speaking presentation that I did not so long ago. And one of them actually came up to me afterwards and said, look, you've just shared my life. How do I get from here to the green? Because I'm not happy. I'm not happy with what I am. I'm not happy with who I am. In fact, I've forgotten who I am. And I want to find myself again. And when they were sharing this, again, there was tears coming down. Because, the reality is, excuse me, the reality is there are so many people that are feeling that way. They're feeling challenged, and because they're not being congruent, they're trying to be what other people want them to be. Well, surely, it's our lives. So we should be what we want to be so we can influence others to impact their lives. It's like I say, who are you when no one's watching? Are you happy with your personality? Not going to say your personality, I mean, the way that you're acting, in as much as, are you being congruent with, your core values and beliefs? Or are you having to adapt to your audience so they can actually see you what you feel that you want them to see? And don't get me wrong, when I say that, with everyone realistically, with the odd exception, we all have a little bit of a protective layer because we don't want to show everyone absolutely everything. Now, for myself, I'm the odd exception, naturally enough, as you may well have gathered. Because I don't worry. I don't care what people think. Look, people are going to like me or they're not. Pure and simple. That's their opinion. I don't have an issue with that because life's all about opinions. So I'm being congruent with what I do. This is the reason why I do these weeklies. Because I'm a firm believer that if this reaches one person that it can make an impact for, then hey, that's been a successful video. That's been something that, hey, it fills me up to know that it's had a positive impact for someone. Because I'm just sharing from the heart. Because we know there's that much information out there these days. We're in the disinformation age. But again, what people are actually missing is wisdom. And, as you can tell, not much hair and rather grey hair. Okay, you may well say white. All right, fair enough. Okay. I'm not 21. I've had an awful lot of life experience. But that's me. That's being congruent. That's being congruent with my core. Because when no one's watching, I'm pretty much the same person. I have quieter times. Of course I do. I'm a human being. But I also like giving. That's my passion, to be able to give. To potentially impact at least one person a day. Hopefully loads more, but at least one person a day. And that's what I mean about who are you when no one's watching? What's your passion? What's your passion for actually helping yourself first and then other people? Well, we can only do that and really, really influence people when we're being congruent. And we get rid of all the filters that we're actually putting through. We're just being genuine and authentic because the reality is that's what people want. That's what people need because there are so many people that are actually putting this false persona out for everyone to see. And as I said a bit earlier on, and it can be really, really tiring. There's no two ways about it. So again, to ask the question, who are you when no one's watching? If you are the same person when no one's watching, hey, you've got strong values, strong beliefs, and you'll be able to influence more people genuinely than the people that are over here, the people that are struggling, having to put this false image up for all the time. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure you're like I am, familiar with the term, fake it until you make it. And yes, there is some value in that in certain ways. But I think it was Brené Brown that did an adaptation of that. And she said, I think it was Brené Brown. If it wasn't, then please forgive me, fake it until you become it. Because, as far as life is concerned, it doesn't come with a ready-made blueprint, does it? So if we visualize something that we want to achieve, that we want to become, then what happens? Our mind, that's what it becomes, that's what it focuses on all of the time. It brings in other things unconsciously to actually help us achieve that. So there's an awful lot of value in the fake it until you become it. Now, it depends on what you believe as far as the fake it is concerned. Now, if you're doing it like I've shared basically throughout this particular weekly wisdom, in as much as you're faking it purely just to actually get, likes, acclaim, or whatever, then in my humble opinion, not the best. Now, to use the quotes, like I said, I think it was Brené Brown, fake it until you become it. Yes, there is a lot of value in that, I feel, in as much as, let's just say, you wanted to do a presentation, you wanted to do public speaking, and you haven't done one for a while, or you haven't possibly even done one before, but you know that your message is important for everyone else. So when you walk out on stage, you need to look confident, don't you? And when I say stage, it could be absolutely anything. It could be a one-to-one that you're having. It could be one-to-many, in, I don't know, just in the office. It could be one-to-many. When you're on a big stage with hundreds or thousands of people in the audience, you need to come over as being confident. So fake it until you become it, yes. In as much as feeling really nervous inside, yes. Okay, but what you're doing, you're igniting your inner hero to overcome those nerves. So in that situation, fake it until you become it, yes. Because you are utilizing it to project yourself, to improve yourself. Because once you do that, over a period of time, your values, your beliefs will actually keep on increasing. So the fact that who are you when no one's watching? So if you are totally over here, then if you do, using that example of a speaking engagement, your movement is more over, so you're actually getting closer to this side. So in that situation, yes. But most people don't think of things like that. They just fake it, and then fake it, and then fake it, and then fake it. Predominantly to get likes. And don't get me wrong, again, with some people they do that and financially they're really, really successful. Not everyone, but some people are. But when they're financially successful, it's financial quite often at a superficial level. So financially the rich, emotionally the poor. And that's what I mean. Who are you when no one's watching? Because the people that are really rich, they may not have loads of money, but emotionally they're rich. Because they are being themselves. They are being congruent with their beliefs and their values. So who are you when no one's watching? Anchor in those values, those beliefs, and let those come out of your pores, so to speak. And I don't mean when you're sweating, but I mean with everything that you do, with everything that you say, with every action that you make. So it's genuine, it's authentic. And that way you're going to have a bigger influence on everyone else authentically. And that's more than what the vast majority of people in the planet do. So be who you are when no one's watching. Get the continuity between the two. Don't have both extremes. You don't want that. You want to be the whole person. Because that way, people will not fire the arrows at you. Because if people see that you're not being congruent with what you're saying and what you're doing, then that's when people will start to try and drag you down. Be your authentic self. The person that you were designed to be. And like I say, that way you're going to have much more impact, much more influence on the people around you. Whether that's partner, whether that's the kids, whether that's family, whether that's colleagues, whether that's people that you're still yet to meet yet because you're actually doing a presentation to loads of people. I don't know. but it comes over the right way when you're being congruent, when you're being authentic, when you're being real. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's Weekly Wisdom. So I look forward to catching up with you again next week. But in the meantime, loads of love and hugs from me here, and have a wonderful week, impacting so many people, but in the right way. Okay, you take care. Have a great week. Speak to you soon. Bye now.